I have Council Marchese.
Here.
I got Council McLaughlin. We have 4 members present. We do have a quorum.
Please stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You
Right,
please
first
read the
piece
first
of
item.
business. This is a resolution by Councilor Matuski to invite a representative from Eversource to appear at this meeting regarding the construction of a 25-foot wall along the length of Broadway.
We did receive communication from the representative. He would like this postponed until the meeting in April, so I'll entertain a motion.
No, just the one, 2 and 6.
I'll entertain a motion to postpone this till the April meeting.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to postpone item 1 till the government operations meeting in April. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, I'll read items 2 and 6.
Oh,
Item number 2 is a resolution offered by Councilor Wayne Matuski that the city engineer update on much-needed improvements on Cabot, Revere, Second, Winthrop, and Bow Street.
The city engineer did send a communication to grant further time that he would not be here this evening.
Motion to grant further time?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant further time. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Item number 6 is a resolution offered by Councilor Mike McLaughlin to discuss construction going on at Centilli and Sweetser Circle and the construction equipment that is parked on the island at Main Street.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor McLaughlin?
Mr. Chairman, I'm concerned the fact that nobody is here this evening. For the fact of the matter is, it's a time-sensitive issue. We hope to see some resolution unless, I apologize if there's a communication further that I'm not aware of. 2 and 6, just that Mr. St. Louis was unable to attend. I had hoped he would send another representative to talk to us about the Main Street Island. I know that we've all seen the island. We all know how poor the island is. I don't know if I'd hate to see this laid over for another 30 days and have the residents have to deal with this for another 30 days.
Counselor, in the communication, he said he'll reach out to you in the interim prior to that meeting, so hopefully within the
Okay.
next few days you can have a conversation with Mr. St. Louis.
Okay, yeah, because again, I know that it's an issue for all of us. It's just
Absolutely.
not my concern, it's all of our concerns. We share a common sense of urgency on this matter. We don't want to see that strip of grass continue down the road that it is going down. Councilor Del Sol and I were down there about a week ago. There had to be 4 inches of mud in that island. And we know 66 Main Street residents, they really beautify the property up in the springtime for the upcoming summer season. I want to make sure that we are able to follow in those same footsteps. So I will reluctantly lay this on the calendar for the next meeting, and I will have a conversation with Mr. St. Louis in the interim, and I will follow up with my colleagues so that you can all know what is going on and what the process is to be able to get it rectified and get it fixed permanently.
Councilor
So,
Marchese?
make that motion.
Councilor McLaughlin, just out of curiosity, now, no one showed up today. Will this piece go back on operations, or are we going to come out with it at the meeting in 2 weeks and ask questions at the meeting?
Good, very
So,
good
I
point,
mean-
Councilor Marquez. I wasn't thinking.
So we'll find out.
I don't want to
get
lay
him
this on the
back here?
calendar. I want to send this out in 2 weeks with no recommendation so that we can invite up Mr. St. Louis to the city council meeting and ask the questions there, because the other issues I don't mind laying on the table, but this one we really don't want to see this go another 30 days with no solution. Again, we all have friends in that building. We all are well represented in that building, and we want to make sure that we keep our commitment to them, to those residents down there. So that's a great point by Councilor Marchese. I will make a motion for no recommendation, and that we refer it out of committee tonight with no recommendation, and invite up Mr. St. Louis, Kevin Noonan, and anybody else that you may feel necessary. But
I'd like someone from Devro, who's the contractor,
Devro
doing the work.
Construction.
Yes. I reached out to them, sorry.
no, absolutely.
I reached out to them, Councilor McLaughlin was there also. Our whole thing is, we want to know if they got permission to go on that island, and what recommendations were made, if they're gonna go out there and make a mess, if they're gonna replace it, but it's gotta be done soon, like Councilor McLaughlin said, you couldn't even walk through there, you get stuck in there, the mud's so deep.
I'll accept that
think it's
motion. I think the best thing to councilors is try to reach out to those individuals the next couple
Yes.
days, and maybe you'll be able to get answers even sooner.
Yes.
And let the residents in the building know ahead of time.
Thank you.
The motion was made and seconded to refer this out with no recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, item 3. This is a resolution up at Council McLaughlin and Marquez to discuss the resident ordinance in place for police and fire.
Councilor Marquez, before you speak, Councilor, I got a communication from the solicitor. In 2012, the Superior Court handed a ruling against the City of Lynn in favor of the Lynn Police Association, stating that a charter provision or ordinance requiring union employees to reside in its city is not enforceable unless it is bargained collectively with the unions. In light of this court ruling, the ordinance passed by the City of Everett requires employees to live in Everett, specifically union employees, is unenforceable at this time because the language was not bargained with the unions before it was passed.
On this piece here, not to go into any further ado, why don't we just send it out of here for, that the city, whoever negotiates the union, the firemen, the police, use it as part of their language from now on? I mean, I thought this was done prior to it, but I guess not. But I yield to Council McLaughlin.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Mr. Chairman, I just, quick question, maybe Mr. Vetrano or Mr. Dr. Easy could answer that are in the audience this evening, which is, I believe that we don't have negotiated contracts actively in place with police and fire. If that's not the case, I'd like to ask the mayor to come down and give us his opinion on whether or not he would use this as a bargaining tool to settle those contracts. Council Marquez is saying that they're not currently settled. So, Mr. Vetrano, if we could ask Mr. Vetrano to come up briefly, just that one question.
Good evening. Michael Vetrano, HR Director. Thank you for inviting me to the meeting. Unfortunately, with the union negotiations, we lay out the ground rules in the initial meeting, and then we can bring so many things in the second and third meeting, and at this point, we're so far into the game, we can't introduce anything new. So once this contract's ratified, language like this will be introduced in all the contracts coming after that. So it's definitely on the radar.
Mr. Vetrano, if that's the case, could you elaborate, not tonight, maybe in just an email or whatever, what point you, I guess, from the first meeting, and just show us the trend of what has happened in the second and third meetings, just so that we understand what was not original. So the problem is I'm trying to figure out what would justify being able to put this on the table, basically. How many steps have been added? I don't care what the specific steps were. Was there 3 additional things added to the negotiation table from meeting 1 to meeting 3?
That's a great question, Counselor, and then that will come from the city solicitor's office.
Okay.
And I'll check with her and see if we can get that information out to you in an email.
Okay, that'd be great, and we don't need you to respond. And so this couldn't happen in this negotiations. How long is the contract? Well, we don't know that, right? How long the contract will go into place for?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see if the city solicitor could elaborate on that just a little bit in an email format. And this evening, at this point, I will make a motion to on the advice of Mr. Vetrano that we wouldn't be able to put this into negotiations. I guess we have to.
In the future negotiations, you have all contracts.
Yep.
This issue should be on the
Absolutely. So should we refer this to the mayor, or should we invite the mayor to discuss this with us? I'm not sure what the most.
I think it would be best to refer it to the mayor's office. Mr. Vetrano?
I just want to share with the board that the mayor's the administration under Mayor Di Maria has made this a priority for all future. Once this case came to sight and aware to the mayor's office, he made it priority of the negotiating team to make this a priority in all future negotiations. So he's well aware of it, he's made it a priority, and wants to see it in all the contracts moving forward.
And all due respect to you, Mr. Vetrano, if that is the case, then why is this not? Why is this not in the act of? Because it's an active, ongoing negotiation currently, right?
Yes, sir. So it's my understanding through the city solicitor's office that this case from, I believe it's a Lynn case, came to light and came to our attention after the fact. And
But
now
this
that we-
came to, in 2012, this was settled. It says.
Counselor, I would assume that once you and Councilor Marchese brought this up, that it kind of got refreshed in everyone's mind. So it could have been one of the things that just fell by the wayside. And
And that's,
But
and
if
that's
we're all on the same
Let's
page,
just
we
get
can
on there for,
definitely-
if
Yep,
that
for the
all,
future.
maybe we could come up with an ordinance that all future, I don't know if it's an ordinance, or
Okay.
what, can we put an ordinance that says that all future negotiations include the residential residency?
We can do that at the next regular meeting and
Right.
refer it to the mayor's
So
office.
I'd like to refer this to the mayor's office
And
and
we'll
ask
make it
them
as an ordinance. and we-
to,
All right,
excuse the customary thanks. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Vitrano,
Mike.
for appearing. We appreciate
My
the time.
pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Vitrano.
I'm going to refer this to Mayor DiMaria.
I believe it needs to be referred out of committee first and then
Yeah.
our regular meeting.
Refer to the regular meeting. Okay. We'll refer this to the regular meeting of the city council.
and hopefully return as an ordinance?
Yes, absolutely, Council Marquez.
Okay. Second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, who's on?
Okay, item number 4. This is a resolution by Council Peter Napolitano. As president, requesting the chief of police assign a uniformed auxiliary police officer to attend all regular meetings of the city council to act as a sergeant of arms.
Can we invite up Council President Napolitano in the audience?
Counselor?
Good evening. Peter Napolitano, Counselor at Large, Council President.
Good evening, Counselor.
Good evening.
Any questions for the sponsor or Counselor Della Sola?
I just have a question. What is the reasoning why is all of a sudden this coming up? I'm just curious.
Well, it's come out from a couple of things. First of all, some of the members have expressed some concerns about the sheer number of people that are starting to come up for public participation. It's not that anybody feels threatened by that. I mean, public participation is what it is, and it's an opportunity for residents to come up and voice concerns. But again, given the tone of the news and other things that we're seeing and happening nationally, a few of the members are a little concerned that the potential that somebody could come in not understanding our rules and our guidelines could become unruly, and we have no recourse for anybody here to either remove them or, and sometimes even just a uniform, itself is a deterrent. So that, the conversation came up with a few of the members about the possibility of utilizing the auxiliaries in that capacity. Now, the chief has sent me a text. I think there might even be a communication regarding that issue tonight.
Yes.
And I'd be very interested in the chief's, opinion on that. Do you have a communication?
I do have one. Would you like me to read it?
Yes. Actually, the clerk should,
Would you want to read it?
yeah.
Dear committee members, I apologize that I cannot make tonight's meeting due to a commitment with my family. However, I would like to address the two issues that are relative on this evening's agenda. The first issue I will respond to is regarding a request to assign an auxiliary police officer to city council meetings to serve as a sergeant at arms. As nobody has spoken to me in relation to what exactly you would be looking to do with this individual, I can only summarize what I believe are the intentions, and that is to keep order within the city council meetings. Based on my knowledge and structure of city council meetings, it is my belief that the chair of the council is responsible for keeping the meetings in orderly fashion. Outside of that, an auxiliary police officer would not have any police powers to remove anybody for any reason or to effect an arrest. In addition, under the city charter, they are not allowed to carry firearms. During council meetings that we know will have large crowds, we always try to have police officers present. I have not been made aware of any problems that have existed during council meetings to warrant the presence of the police at every meeting. In addition, this has not been approved function of the auxiliary police department and could also have labor implications involving the police unions.
This was my concern right here.
Okay. And to be honest with you, after a brief communication with the chief, I'm gonna have to have a private conversation with him about this, and I have no problem at this point if you want to refer it back to sponsor. It was a knee-jerk reaction to some things that happened right around the time, not only to the meetings, but also some few things that happened outside of the city hall relative to some comments that were observed over on a meeting that were misinterpreted and created an altercation.
So
We're not looking to add these situations on, but I'll have a conversation with the chief. And again, if there's a different approach to this, we'll revisit this. But right now, I would prefer that you just send it back to sponsor and leave it at that.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think this issue has a lot of merit. Unfortunately, just maybe 3 weeks ago, we saw an incident at the back of the building that an individual was physically assaulted by a resident.
If I could, no police report was filed, and I'd rather leave that issue.
Yeah,
on its own
Counselor,
merit. Members are aware of it. Let's leave it alone. We will address this directly with the chief and see what the proper course of action would be. We're not looking to embarrass anybody. A misunderstanding occurred.
It was way
to
more
the
than a
real-
misunderstanding, Council President. I
Well, again-
respectfully disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Why don't we refer this back to sponsor here before we
But
get
I
into
think that we need to have the chief come up here and discuss this with us.
Yeah, Chief is not
If
even
you want
aware
to
of
put
that
an item on the
situation.
agenda,
That's the
Counselor,
reason
feel
why.
free. I'm going to
Make a motion, Mike.
respect the sponsor's wishes. If you want to continue the discussion, I implore you to put something on the agenda.
I will. The mayor is entitled to have an officer with him for the same purpose.
Well, he's up here now. He says it's 40 hours.
In the
Chief
same
should be
reason.
on the street.
The mayor has a sergeant, I believe it is, for the same purpose and the same reasons. We should be entitled to have the same respect and same courtesy given. And that's why I think holds a lot of merit on this matter. I will
Good, Mike.
respect the wishes of Council President Napolitano, but I think we should definitely put something on the calendar for the next meeting and discuss this further. Thank you.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to refer this to the city council meeting with a recommendation to refer back to sponsor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Right. Item number 5, this is a resolution offered by Councilors DePiero and McKinnon to discuss auxiliary police and the funds appropriated for expenses.
Mr. Burley, I'm sorry. We have to excuse
Oh.
Council President Napolitano and thank him for coming this evening. We forgot to do that. Thank you.
The second part of the chief's communication was in regard to this item. I'll read that. It says, regarding the second issue of money that was budgeted for the auxiliary police department, we have tried to advise the auxiliary chief that he needs to communicate with my office in an effort to identify needs for the department. To date, Chief Jordan has not reached out to me once to discuss this or any issues involving the auxiliary police department. Lastly, all purchasing for the auxiliary police has to go through the police department, as that's where the budget exists for their needs. They would not be allowed to purchase items outside of our normal purchasing procedures. I'd be glad to further discuss both these issues with any committee member. Please feel free to reach out. Would you like to
Seeing
invite?
that former council and chief of auxiliary police, Jordan, is here this evening, I'd extend the courtesy to allow him to come up and speak with us.
Absolutely. Chief Jordan? Chief, if you,
Oh, good evening, yeah.
good evening.
Chief
Just,
Jordan. Chief Jordan,
recognize
Auxiliary Police.
Thank you.
Yeah, this whole purpose for this was, I had a discussion with the chief over in the head of the union that they didn't like a few of our things that we had, like their badges and stuff like that. And I discussed the chief with getting new badges, and we came up with a price. And when I went to get the money for it from the chief, he's like discussing like that he's already going to get the badges, and there was the discussion how the badges were too much money. But I didn't really we were butting heads a little bit about if we were going to get another style badge which costs more money than like an original badge you just buy off the shelf. If you buy one off the shelf, it's a lot cheaper. And the price was kind of high, and it ended up going down to the purchasing agent downstairs. But that's how a little bit of screw up happened. But
Before I recognize the councilors, I think the best thing to do is have another meeting and request that the chief actually shows up.
Yeah.
And maybe the union rep that you talk to, so we can, everyone on the same page and
Yep.
get all the answers at one time, I think would be the best way to proceed. But Councilor Della Sola?
How much is it per badge? I'm just curious.
well,
On average.
right now badges are going for like it's crazy, $75 or something for a badge.
And how many would you need?
Well, right now we have 51 guys, and if you get, I'm trying to eliminate the hat badge by just getting a regular baseball cap type of thing. But if you went for two, there's 150 times 50. But see, where the money comes in is if there's a new style badge made, which they don't like the style badge that we've had for years and years and years. The 75 years that I've known the auxiliary police being existed, they're always the same exact badges as the regular police, except it said auxiliary on it.
Right.
So, from us getting moved out of the police station in to where we are now, all the equipment that we had down that little office we had got somehow misplaced or thrown away. So we went down and got our badges like a few years back, which was not really a problem. It didn't seem like a problem for the last 5 or 6, 7 years. But now it seems like it's a problem that it's the same exact badge as theirs. It says auxiliary police on it again. They're new style badges,
Right.
which are a badge that right now, I think, in Massachusetts, there's probably over maybe 20 or 30 police departments have them. Boston has them, Framingham Auxiliary. All these, there's a bunch of auxiliary polices that have the exact same badge, but they had this problem. But if you have to design a new badge, that's where the price goes up, because they have to make a die for it and this,
Design
that, and the other
costs.
thing.
Right.
So,
Okay.
that's where the money comes in.
Thank
And we don't want to do this, but it's something that they want to do. It's kind of like, it's the funniest thing is, you're giving us money to use, to go on, but I think we're gonna be using a big chunk of it for these badges that are kind of like a waste of money, because the amount of times that we go out and do details out in the street, it's not a big deal for these badges. In fact, the badges we have now, each individual bought them out of their own money. But we feel that they're asking us to change it. Why should we turn around and have to spend, each guy have to spend another 50, 60?
Between the badge and your jacket, I would think you would know who the person is.
Well, yeah, we already have auxiliary on our patches, auxiliaries.
Exactly.
We have these, actually, half the time the badge is covered when you wear the street vest,
Right.
fluorescent. Yeah, almost 90% of the time they're covered because you wear that thing. You don't wear the badge over the street vest. But the street vests that the chief had bought us say every auxiliary police on them. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just a thing. It seems like it's just a tug of war
Right.
back and forth. Whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Mr. Chairman, just briefly, so the chief wants you guys to have these new badges, but then he's fighting you to
No,
spend the
no.
money?
Actually, the union
union
came.
rep, I
No,
believe.
actually, the union came up with it. The union came up with it.
Okay, so the union came up with getting these new badges, and now the chief is fighting you on getting these new badges. Is that what it is? I'm just trying to understand. so
Well,
know
yeah,
for
I
the
think
next meeting,
I
so-
think when I asked for the large amount of money, and actually, I have the text on my phone here too. It's funny that the purchasing agent downstairs said, "Oh, that amount of money would mean there's enough badges for 250 people," and I guess he misplaced a zero or something, but it was just a misunderstanding. I said, "No, that it's going to cost this much money." I mean, it's not that we just came up with this figure. We went down to
Sure.
Doughboys
Nope, I understand.
and priced these things, and we had to get all the members together to redesign another badge so it wouldn't look like this.
But the city council has appropriated a line item of money, correct, for the auxiliary
Yes,
police to be
yes.
utilized?
Yes.
So you have that money identified, but you're not allowed to use the money that is
Well, it's not,
identified
yeah,
or been appropriated by the city
like,
council.
yeah, a few years back, the auxiliary had their own money, and it was, you'd just go down to Doughboys and get something. They would send the bill to the city and they'd pay for it. But it would be like, it would be something that was spelled right out. It was what we needed. Like, a lot of times, it would be like a jacket or something for a new member, or a pair of pants or something. But now,
I don't want to get you dove
now
into this
now
right
it
now.
seems like it goes through the chief now instead
I
of.
want to have another meeting,
Yeah.
but I just want to say that, again, I'm disappointed that we have such a great group of individuals that are dedicated and volunteering their time. And they got to fight over getting badges. And we've already allocated the money through the city council. We've already put the money aside. And where these individuals have to fight to be able to get what they need to keep themselves safe on the street. They're volunteering their time. We, as a city council, should be, as we are, fighting for these individuals. We just did a large group on Monday night, right? Up here,
Yep.
several individuals. We need to have the chief really cut it and knock off the nonsense, because it seems like it's happening more regularly. Anytime the auxiliary is involved, there has to be a battle of some sort. This isn't
So
the first
I
time
think
we've seen them
the
battling back and
Best
forth.
way to move forward is to get the chief up here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. I agree
Someone
with
from
you.
the union as well as yourself, Mr. Jordan. and-
But at the
and
next
Get it all
meeting-
on the table at one meeting and figure out what the heck is going on.
But at the next meeting, I want the chief present. I don't want
Absolutely.
another correspondence saying
Could
he
we
can't come, whatever.
possibly, work with the chief, Mr. Clerk, on a date that we know works for him?
Right, I want to make sure that,
Yeah. Okay,
no,
Public safety meeting, yeah.
okay.
I want him to come, I want him to come to committee meeting only because I think we're going to have to dive into this, and I think it's going to be a lengthy discussion, and I think it should be done here in committee. It should get paid. I agree, Council Marquez, absolutely.
Exactly.
So in the next 30 days, I want to set a date that the chief is able to come to this committee meeting and sit down and discuss this with us in detail, because it needs to end once and for all. And if anybody else in the administration wants to come participate, the mayor or any other department head, feel free. We don't need to invite them. If they think they have input, come and we'll welcome them to the committee and we'll have them part of the conversation. But we need to get this to stop, because it's not fair to these individuals that volunteer their time. We see them in different community events. They do a good job. They're professional. We'll see them at different road races in the next couple of months and so forth. They're always professional, they're always doing a good job. So I applaud you, Council, for bringing this forward, and I think we need to get this resolved once and for all. Thank you. I'm going to lay this on the table for 30 days, not to say the next meeting, but for 30 days. And I want to see this
Chief Mazie and someone from the union.
here in
is
30,
present.
within the next 30 days, to be here in committee to discuss this in detail.
within
We're up
30
to,
days.
since Monday night, we're up to 51 members now. Strong.
Within 30 days.
Within 30 days,
Correct.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to do such. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Excuse
Yes.
our guests with customary thanks. Thank you,
you.
Counselor, for coming. We'll see
Thank
you
Chief
soon.
Jordan.
Thank you very
Sorry
much.
to waste your time this evening. Appreciate
And
it.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.